so interested in Mr. Jindal charges, I will say, deal with David Lee charges first, and I'll talk to you about Jindal charges after.
Yeah. Go on mute, yeah, go on. Ease yourself, just keep it calm, mute your star. Only for pressure in my corner. One time it hard for carry on. You no need no girl for turn to, no man for talk to. Feelings hurt on the journey so far.
Welcome Success Family, my enlightened keepers of Øwayne Media, alongside our new arrivals to the channel. DPP Paula Llewellyn Court of Appeal case continue. It's also revealed that Paula Llewellyn letter was about making sure she continued to receive her money.
I need my money. I need my money. I need my money right now.
After her time was up, Prime Minister Rowley business deal with Indian businessman accused by India of corruption exposed. Now, the Attorney General Office argued in court that the Constitutional Court made errors in its judgment regarding an amendment to the Constitution that extends the retirement age for the DPP and the Auditor General. Now, the amendment allowed Paula Llewellyn to potentially extend her tenure beyond the new retirement age, which the lower court ruled unconstitutional. Now, Andrew Øwayne's JLP government is challenging this decision, claiming the court misinterpreted the amendment's purpose and the process of extending the DPP tenure. DPP Paula Llewellyn lawyer King's Counsel Douglas Lace clarified that DPP Paula Llewellyn letter to the Public Service Commission was not intended to request an extension of her tenure. Instead, it was a procedural step to ensure her salary payments continued smoothly after her current extension ended in September 2023. Now, Douglas Lace said that the letter adhered to strictly statutory requirements and did not seek any further extension beyond what had already granted. Douglas Lace said that recent legal disputes arose from misinterpretation of the letter purpose and its implication under constitutional amendments affecting the DPP retirement rights. So basically, DPP Paula Llewellyn wanted to ensure that she continued to get her money and there is no disruption in her salary payments when her extension of tenure ended in September 2023. It is a procedural step to maintain administrative continuity, ensuring that her salary would continue to be processed without interruption according to statutory requirements. As DPP Paula Llewellyn lawyer Douglas Lace said, the letter was not intended to seek another extension of her tenure, but rather to facilitate the smooth transition in administrative matters related to her employment. Now, as for the legality of whether DPP Paula Llewellyn can continue to receive payments after her tenure has officially ended depends on specific legal framework and contractual agreements governing the DPP position for anyone who actually takes role as the DPP. And I say that because some people might wonder if that's okay for someone to still receive payments when they are not serving in the office anymore. Well, as for Jamaica, there are often clauses that allow for transitional period or arrangement for continued salary payments after an official term ends, especially if there is pending administrative or legal process involved. And remember, DPP Paula Llewellyn wanted to remain in office because she said there are unfinished business. Now you can guess what some of those unfinished business are. Alright, so Mark Golden PNP said the primary motive behind the amendment was to allow DPP Paula Llewellyn to remain in office beyond the established retirement age. Mark Golden PNP challenge in court is based on claims that the amendment was hastily pushed through Parliament after a 6-year delay, which raised suspicions about its true purpose and constitutional validity. So the heart of this appeal is the interpretation of whether Andrew Øwayne's JLP government exceed its constitutional authority by effectively extending DPP Paula Llewellyn tenure, a decision many people argue should solely rest with the executive branch. As the case develops, I will continue to give you updates, and when the decision comes out, definitely I will let you guys know what happened, if she's coming back or she will stay as is. Trinidad and Tobago opposition leader Kamla Prasad has raised serious concerns about Trinidad and Tobago government dealing with Indian businessman Naveen Jindal, who is facing corruption charges in India. Kamla said that Rowley government engaged in a potentially scandalous deal with Jindal, who visited Trinidad and Tobago in 2023. Now, Prime Minister Rowley claimed that he only met Jindal after a trip to India in 2024. This discrepancy has led to Kamla to question Rowley's transparency and due diligence, especially given that the Energy Minister Stuart Young confirmed meeting with Jindal in March of 2023. Kamala highlights the inconsistencies and said there is a need for clear and honest communication from the ruling government. Prime Minister Keith Rowley defended his actions, arguing that Jindal visit was part of a broader effort to attract investment to Trinidad and Tobago. Keith Rowley criticized Kamala for spreading misinformation and attempting to undermine potential economic opportunities. Stuart Young echoed what Prime Minister Keith Rowley said. Stuart Young said that the government dealings were conducted transparently and in Trinidad and Tobago best interest. However, I believe that what Keith Rowley is doing is wrong because the government leader should not conduct business with individuals facing serious accusation in his home country, especially when it involves corruption. The integrity and reputation of a country leader are the utmost importance, and engaging with businessmen like Jindal, who is accused of corruption and money laundering, could tarnish the nation image and undermine public trust, because due diligence and ethical consideration should be the guide of government interactions with potential investors, ensuring that partnerships are formed with trustworthy individuals or entities. Keith Rowley should show Trinidad and Tobago he is a man of principle, and so should maintain the credibility of governmental decision and safeguarding national interests. It's necessary for government leaders to uphold high ethical standards, and Keith Rowley should prioritize Trinidad and Tobago integrity above all else, ensuring that all dealings are conducted with transparency and accountability. Prime Minister Keith Rowley is focused on attracting foreign investment, particularly from non-traditional partners like India, to revitalize Trinidad and Tobago integrity. Despite criticism from Kamala, Keith Rowley defends his action. However, Prime Minister Keith Rowley seeks to enhance Trinidad economic prospects. He must uphold high standards and demand integrity from business partners like Jindal. Now, upon learning about Naveen Jindal corruption charges in India, Keith Rowley should have reconsidered the engagement to protect Trinidad and Tobago reputation, because entertaining deals with individuals of questionable integrity risks tarnishing Trinidad and Tobago image. As I said, Keith Rowley failed Trinidad and Tobago when his government failed to perform a thorough background check before entering into such agreements. In everything, you just have to do a background check, and this move by Keith Rowley was reckless and careless. Defending his negligence is unacceptable, as the country integrity must take precedence over avoiding personal embarrassment or perceived failure. As Trinidad and Tobago leader, Keith Rowley must prioritize ethical consideration and make decisions that reflects the highest standard of governance. This is what Keith Rowley said when CNC News caught him.
Sorry, sir?
You seem to have a lot of time to waste with Mr. Rouget.
On the opposition leader would have asked, so how did you not know?
Pressed for a response, the Prime Minister then said,
I will ensure that the opposition leader does not undermine and derail what the government of Trinidad is doing for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. If she's so interested in Mr. Jindal charges, I will say, deal with David Lee charges first, and I'll talk to you about Jindal charges after.
Well, CNC3 News took his comments to the opposition leader. Responding via WhatsApp, she said David Lee does not own the Pointe-a-Pierre refinery, and by using Lee as a deflection tactic, it clearly shows.
Alright, so that was the video. Thanks for the likes, thanks for the subscribe, thanks for the views, thanks for the comments. As always, I'm out.